Hello lights, it is North here. Today we'll be going over all the unanswered questions in Animal Jam's lore. Now I know what you're thinking. Ugh, another lore video? Seriously, how many of these have you made? And to that I say, you could just go. Like, you could just leave, no one's forcing you to stay here, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go. Now, by no means am I trying to criticize Animal Jam for these things. Technically, there is still potential for Animal Jam to answer these questions or turn these questions into stories in the future of the lore, but it's just interesting to go over these unanswered questions, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be making a theory about some of them soon. But that is a big maybe, because I really don't know. Now, there are a lot of unanswered questions in Animal Jam's lore that people don't even know about, but we're going to go about this in chronological order, which means the first unanswered question in our timeline has actually been answered now, but for a long time no one had an answer to it. In the very first adventure, aside from the training grounds, we are introduced to a bunny burrow, and one of the bunnies that you can talk to says that there is a phantom fortress hidden deep within the wilds. And there was no mention of the phantom fortress again until the search for Greeley, several adventures later. And then they forgot about the phantom fortress again until the front lines, 2 adventures and over 2 years later. So Animal Jam was definitely very indecisive when it came to the phantom fortress, but eventually they ended up doing it. But yeah, this is just to prove that even if Animal Jam forgets about an idea for an insanely long amount of time, they may come back to it. So there is still hope for the rest of the questions on this list, which still haven't been answered. So let's fast forward to Jama's eclipse in 2017. In August of 2017, to celebrate the event happening in the real world, Animal Jam created a solar eclipse in Jama. But it also seemed to be the Kickstarter for a new direction with the lore. Right after the eclipse ended, the Zeos statue, which has been dead since basically the beginning of the game, just like rose up and resurrected like a zombie and is now like alive. And then 2 weeks later we got the Forgotten Archive, a forgotten room in Animal Jam that seems to have only been accessed by Mira and Zeos for many years before he sealed it off completely and then finally reopened it. Now the first question here is, how did this happen? How exactly was the eclipse connected to Zeos or this Forgotten Archive? We know that they are connected from Zeos' journal entry in the Forgotten Archive, but how are they connected? How did a solar eclipse results in the resurrection of an ancient statue? A lot of people say that the solar eclipse was how Zeus had some sort of control over Jama again, or that the restoration of his statue meant that he had power over Jama again, or was somewhat back in Jama or something. But I'm beginning to doubt that idea. It seems a lot more like the eclipse was the trigger for animals to discover the archive, the trials of Zeus, the mysterious city, the Heartstone, Juno. It seems like all of this was because Zeus wanted us to find this stuff, and there are a lot more unanswered questions. Now, some of the stuff we see in the archive are just really cryptic messages about the past of Jama, nothing really interesting, but it also talks about the lines of power. Lines that seem to later become visible in Jama Township during the Night of the Phantoms, and then the Phantoms used them to destroy Club Geos. And then Alpha Headquarters rose from the ashes, and the lines of power disappeared. Now, the way the lines of power are described, they seem a lot more like ancient forces that can be used for good or evil, kind of like the Force from Star Wars. They've always been there and everything. Why did they just suddenly become visible now? Was this by design as well? I don't know, that's kind of confusing, because if Alpha Headquarters really was because of Zeus, then how exactly would he know that if he made the lines of power visible, the Phantoms would use them on Club Geos specifically so that Alpha Headquarters would rise from the ashes? Or is it possible that Zeus was actually the one who destroyed Club Geos? I don't know, I know that theory is kind of improbable, but I'm just trying to think of ideas here. But probably the biggest question is, how did all this happen? Why did the eclipse result in the restoration of the statue? Does Zeus have power over Jama again, or was this all set into place millions of years ago? How did he know that the eclipse was going to come? And is there any future for the lines of power? Like they were just used to destroy Club Geos and that's it? Why would Animal Jam put such an important aspect of the lore into place and then forget about it and use it only to destroy everyone's favorite room? Why did Zeus want us to know about Juno? Everything from the eclipse to the full discovery of Juno's story is all part of the same storyline. It's all connected to the eclipse and therefore to Zeus wanted us to find this. Yes, maybe Juno deserves to be remembered, but I'm not sure that's a good reason. Is there some sort of way to bring him back maybe? This just seems like more evidence that Juno's story isn't over. Now, I've already talked about the unanswered questions in Juno's story, but basically here they are. What are Pax, who is Fangs, and who is Star? Yes, we know that Star is Juno's friend, but that's not really very much. What do we know about her? Now, Animal Jam used to be all about teaching kids fun facts about nature, and they still do that sometimes, but it's become less and less of a priority to them. I doubt all this was just to tell some random story and teach kids about endangered animals. And I feel like this entire storyline, like everything that's happened between the eclipse and the full revelation of Juno's story, are connected somehow. Like all these questions will be answered at once. I don't know, do you guys get that feeling, or am I just weird? Anyway, let me know what you think about this video in the comments, and if you have any theories about these unanswered questions, please let me know. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay clawsome, pawsome, and fantastic. See you all next week. Bye.